Hey, what's up, Super Dads? Okay, so I'm here with a little bit of a workout tip. We're gonna look at something a little bit different today from what we have in the past. Now, as my approach and understanding to exercise has continued to evolve, I've come to embrace more high intensity training principles, fewer sets, really focusing on just getting the muscle to fatigue and then putting the weights down and calling that a day for that muscle. Mostly because it helps to prevent injury. You're not using the muscles more than, using the joints, I should say, more than you need to. You're not putting more load on them than you need to in order to achieve the outcome. However, I do also adhere to a higher frequency approach to training, and if you know anything about high intensity training principles, high frequency training is basically the antithesis. But the way that I approach high frequency training is I only use high frequency training when it comes to very specific exercises that need to check a bunch of different boxes, and those include they need to be very functional, they need to be very efficient, they need to also hit multiple beneficial angles. And so something like using isometrics for high frequency is great because not only does it not cause a lot of muscle damage, but it also is going to send a strength building signal and is also going to help relieve joint pain that you may already be encountering from previous training experience, previous exercise experience. So it checks a bunch of boxes. Now, another thing that checks a bunch of boxes for me is animal walks. Animal walks are a really great modality for, I wouldn't necessarily call it exercise, but it improves mobility, and it basically just gives you an opportunity to move your body in ways that you will not typically move them in, given our sedentary lifestyle these days. And, all they are is just emulating the way that an animal walks. And so there are a huge variety of these. It helps mobility. It's gonna stretch you out. It's gonna get your blood flowing, right? It also could have a strengthening function depending on which one you're doing and how long you do it for, but that's not really gonna be the main goal of these. The one I'm gonna show you today is actually one that I got from one of our community members. Thank you, David, for this one. This is called the Tiger Walk, and I hadn't done this one. I'd done many, but not this one before he introduced me to it. And I can already tell that it's helped my lower back a little bit, strengthening my lower back, because it provides us both a stretch and a contraction as there's a sort of alternating pattern to it. Okay, so this is the Tiger Walk, and this is what it looks like. You're gonna start in a position, it's basically like a hands and feet on the ground position. You wanna have your feet, you don't want them like this, because that's gonna put a lot of pressure on your toes. You definitely don't want your knees on the ground. Okay, but if you're not flexible enough to keep your heels on the ground, just do your best. Okay, and then the movement is basically alternating foot and hand moving forward. So if I move my right foot forward, I move my left hand forward. Okay, if I move my left foot forward, I move my right hand forward, like this. Okay, so what you'll see is that it ends up kind of looking like a swaying motion when you do it connected. So it looks like this. And you're kind of just sliding your hands. It's the hands and feet. You're not picking them up and placing them down. Just the way that a tiger lopes around, right? It's a lazy walk. It's not like they're not always pouncing and jumping everywhere, okay? Now, what you'll notice as soon as you try this, or even from just watching me try it, is, as I said, one side is gonna be contracting. So this side, my low back is contracting, and this side, it's stretching. Switch it, contraction on the left, stretch on the right, switch it, okay? This is also going to help with your hamstring flexibility. And one of the major issues that people have these days is just their hamstrings are way too tight from sitting all the time. And that can cause, obviously, lots of lower back problems, but also it can prevent you from doing squats effectively, getting to a good squat depth, or, can also cause all sorts of issues in that regard. So give it a try. Thanks, David. And I'll come back with some more animal walks in the future. Oh, and one more thing about these. Another thing the reason that they're great is that you can just incorporate them throughout the day, especially for you busy dads, because it's easy to make these into a game, right? Just tell your kids, like, we're gonna play tag, but dad's gonna be a tiger, right? Or you can give them, you say, like, all right, you gotta walk like this animal, and I'll walk like this animal, and you walk that, and then you can have them come up with it and emulate it, and you can make it into a game. So even when your kids are around, you can find time to
get in some movement that is going to be beneficial for your body. Okay?